All right,
Is it list time? Yeah, I think so. This is what we've all been waiting for. This is the reason Jake is on.
Here, yeah.
Yeah.
As you can tell, I've been asking questions, but I haven't watched most of the movies that were discussed so far.
It's all good.
But I had questions. I had talking points.
So you made a whole list and everything.
Yeah, I got a list.
You got any honorable mentions?
I do have some honorable mentions.
Right, cool.
I got the format down.
I actually have a lot more than you'd think. Because I don't know if you listen to the podcast, but I'm not I don't watch a lot of animation. Not because I don't like it. It's just because I don't know, for some reason I just don't gravitate toward it. Even though I appreciate it and I love the art form and I think it's very cool. Mm-hmm. I just don't go out of my way to really watch a lot of them for some reason. Probably because I don't like kids in the theater. That's probably why.
That's a big part of it, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm I don't want to.
Yeah, there isn't a lot of Western animation that caters to an adult audience. Which isn't to say there's obviously the Pixar stuff that always has there's some appeal to the parents in the room. Mm-hmm. But yeah, there's not usually a huge focus on adult viewing in animation, which is not which we're gonna learn through the list. Most of my list is anime, but I do have a lot of Western stuff in here that
Anime just has really good storytelling usually, so I get it. How
many? I cannot relate because I don't watch anime.
Honorable mentions do you have?
I
think I have 11.
I have 14. So.
Okay,
but I can go through them quick.
5, 6. I didn't. I got 20. I'll be real. I got a lot.
Wow,
which is surprising.
Big list, yeah, big list. Here we go.
I basically just listed all the animations I've ever seen in my entire life. I'll be real with you.
Let's go. Let's get it.
So who wants to start?
Well, you, because you have 20.
All right, I'll do 3 right now.
Do it.
Wreck-It Ralph.
Okay.
It's great. Zootopia.
Oh, I like Zootopia a lot.
Fantastic. And Up.
Up is okay. So I have words on Up. It's not on my list. Mm-hmm. But there's the beginning of Up.
Yeah.
I think is one of the cleanest and best executed montage sequences in animation. There's so many good cuts that you can only do with animation. Mm-hmm. In that movie. The transitions between age brackets as they're getting old.
Know what it is? It's the lateral shots.
Yeah,
they're real good.
Yeah, that movie, the beginning. If I like that movie a lot, but if the first 5
wasn't there,
if the first 5 minutes wasn't there, definitely a weaker Pixar movie.
Oh, 100%.
Or if the rest of the movie was to the same quality as the first 5 minutes, it'd be the best Pixar movie.
Yeah, I 100% agree. That's
agree
why
as
it's
well.
an honorable mention.
I love the beginning of that movie.
Okay. I'm going to name 2.
Go for it, buddy.
This one doesn't need any explanation because we've kind of went over it a lot. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
Mm-hmm. I have lots to say.
The other one, The Boy and the Beast. Mamoru Hosoda directs this story of a boy following a beast into his world and being raised by him, kind of. But about halfway through the story, it evolves and finds all sorts of emotions. Boasting epic symphonics and flawless fluidity to its animation, Boy and the Beast is Hosoda's exciting tribute to family, and family is something that goes way beyond blood.
Yeah, so I'm going to get back to Into the Spider-Verse because I have lots to say about that movie.
Okay.
I have lots to say about it too.
But with Mamoru Hosoda specifically, so this guy, if you don't know him, people that are listening, Mamoru Hosoda is famous for his works. He does anime in stuff like Summer Wars and Wolf Children. Uh-huh. And recently, Boy and the Beast. He's got another movie that just came out pretty recently that I haven't seen yet.
And don't forget about Digimon the movie.
He also did the Digimon movie, which is surprisingly good. I was never huge into Digimon growing up. The Digimon movie is way better than it has any right to be. But he's come up real big in Japan in the last I want to say almost 10 years now as the next figure to step into Hayao Miyazaki's shoes, who's done less and less work over time. Mm-hmm. For people who don't know Hayao Miyazaki, he's the Studio Ghibli guy. Yeah. So he's by far the most recognizable figure in the anime industry.
Away, all that.
We'll talk about more about him later for sure.
Yeah.
But Hosoda, all those movies deal with family and every single one of them, and they're all so good. He's great. The Boy and Beast is a great movie. I like it a lot. It's probably my least favorite movie I've seen of his in a while.
Really?
But that's just to the strength of his other works.
I just watched The Girl Who Leapt Through Time for the first time. I thought it was good.
Yeah.
I think this one's better personally.
I haven't seen The Girl Who Leapt Through Time in a while.
Yeah.
I have them all.
Yeah,
we should watch them. We should watch them.
Marathon, baby.
Yeah, but he's great. Into the Spider-Verse. It's on my honorable mention too. I think it's the best looking movie ever made. Bar none.
Wow.
What?
Wow.
That's surprising.
Yeah.
Especially since I know one specific honorable mention that you have.
Yep. It was the best looking movie ever made.
Until
this movie.
What?
I think Into the Spider-Verse is like hands down the best looking movie ever made.
It is amazing looking. It is, the artistry of that film is insane.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't think there's anything close. Like animation, live action, I don't think anything comes close. Mm-hmm. I think the stuff they do is so creative, like the colors and like the digital effects they use all look great. The movie's always shocking and surprising. The camera angles they use are all beautiful. And the shot composition, like everything, the storytelling through visual mediums, like the way they like use light and dark and the shadows and everything cast. I think there's like nothing that comes close.
Yeah.
I even bet like the studio that made it can't do it again. I think there's something about this movie that is like probably.
I bet you're 100% right.
Yeah.
And they capitalized on this thing. They're like, no one else is going to make another movie.
They tried to patent the technology.
Yeah.
They're like, no one else can do this now. That's crazy.
But I think it's to the movie itself. I think the movie is pretty good. I think it's probably my favorite like Spider-Man movie. Maybe not Homecoming or Spider-Man 2. Those might be better. Like as just movies.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm not as gravitated to the character of Miles. I think he's awesome. But like just the visuals alone, I think like knock it out of the park.
For sure, they're amazing.
And it has to be stated how good this movie looks. Like it's. If you haven't seen it, you must have seen it. Like if you're on the internet, you've seen like GIFs or like short videos about it, like on Twitter or Facebook.
Yeah.
There's no way you haven't.
It's fantastic.
But oh my god, the movie looks so good.
It does.
Which can lead me to one of my honorable mentions.
Here it is. I knew it was coming.
Which is Redline. Redline's one of them. This is a movie. It's an anime from Studio Madhouse. It is a movie that took 7 years to make.
Damn.
It's a little bit cheating because the movie halfway through production they scrapped most of it and like redid it, like restarted it.
Yeah.
But it's only to a testament of its like visual quality. It's like about an hour and 45 minutes. It's all hand cell shaded. But with digital like colorization.
Yeah.
And it's basically like if you took Speed Racer and put it on like the most crack you could ever find.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Like
I wish there was more to it as far
as
to
the story and like to the characters. They're all pretty benign. You're watching it for the visual flair. It's like the sci-fi like rate like race for like basically like $1 billion like space money.
Oh wow, okay.
And the movie is just a roller coaster. The visual car design, there's like so like the main character JP is like the only human in the mix. Everyone else is this weird like fucked up looking alien dude. They all are just weird, like this weird cavalcade of like monsters and like green women or like whatever the mix is in there. It just looks so good. Like the fluidity of the animation, like the colors are the big thing, the pop. Because it's normal like cell shaded. Like, you sit there with, like, the bright screen, and you have, like, the cells, like, on your drawing, like, tracing on cells and stuff like that. And then they put that into the computer, and then they digitalize, like, all the colors. So it really pops in a way that, like, modern animation doesn't do that anymore. Like, even in Japan, like, most stuff that comes out, I think, like, 99% of the stuff that comes out is all, like, digitally written.
Yeah.
It's all digital. Everything here in the West, like everything's totally moved to like the digital style.
Yeah, for sure.
Even Disney doesn't do like 2D stuff anymore.
Oh yeah, no. Even stuff that is 2D isn't 2D.
Yeah,
they do it on a pad on a computer.
It's a breath of fresh air. It looks great. After the podcast, we just got to show you the trailer. Like,
all right.
You have to.
Yeah.
All right.
Until Spider-Verse, I was convinced it was the best looking thing ever.
Okay. All right. All right. That's interesting. All right. My next honorable mention, Lion King.
Okay.
I mean, it's great. It's crazy to me that this was going to be a straight-to-DVD movie when they first created it until they saw the quality of it, and they were like, oh, wow, this is legit. Like, the visual flair and the visual style of this film, I think, is also really cool because with the African kind of imagery and stuff like that. Also, the voice acting is really good. So, it's a classic. I haven't seen it in a very long time, but I had to put it on there.
Yeah.
Because it's something I've seen, so...
I actually have that on my honorable mentions as well.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah, Lion King, it's on there for me.
Oh, okay.
Probably Disney's best film. Sort of a retelling of Hamlet. The Lion King has some of the boldest and most heartfelt moments in Disney's repertoire. Somehow they were able to spin the Shakespearean work into appropriate themes that usually get employed by Disney. So
yeah. Growing up, Lion King was my favorite movie.
Yeah,
I get that.
Yeah, I haven't seen it in forever, but I remember really loving it. I'll just like roll one off also for you guys. It's actually 2. Incredibles 1 and 2.
Oh yeah. Incredibles is on here as well for me.
Yeah.
I think Incredibles is Pixar's best movie.
Yeah, it's really good. It's really good, especially because I love superheroes. And I think this is the best Fantastic Four movie.
Oh my god, it totally is. Yeah,
completely destroyed every single superhero movie that was coming out when it came out.
Yeah, 100%.
Oh my god.
Yeah, 100%. Brad Bird kills it, dude.
And it's so
and you know
adult.
what's cool about it is adult. There's like some really intriguing conversations that happen, like political kind of esque conversations, almost like Civil War kind of level conversations that happen.
That and the affair conspiracy. I mean, who can pull that off besides Pixar?
No, it's great. And you know what's cool? You know what Brad Bird did to revolutionize kind of the animation world is Brad Bird was the first outside director to come in to Pixar, because originally everyone who directed Pixar movies was within Pixar. You know, they were like staff members or like stuff like that. Like John Lasseter, who basically created it. Brad Bird was the first guy who came in and did it. You know, he came in like from the outside world, and he's like, all right, here's what I want to do. I want like a handheld shot. And they're like, well, you can't really do that. And he's like, I want it. I want a handheld shot. I want like depth. I want depth of field and handheld shots going on here. So he kind of brought like a real director's perspective to Pixar animation, which changed like the game.
Changed the game, yeah. The movie's still really good.
Yeah, it's filmed like a real movie, which is crazy. You know,
yeah.
With all of its techniques.
Yes, absolutely.
So it's fantastic.
Yeah, I love The Incredibles.
Yes.
Also, like shout out to the score. It's like one of the best movie scores of all time.
Oh yeah. Giacchino score.
Yeah, Michael Giacchino kills it.
Oh,
that's one of his like early stuff too. Like he's really big now, but like back in the day, wasn't this movie come out like 2004? Yeah, like he was not as popular as he is now.
Yeah, for sure. Fantastic.
This is kind of a weird one because I kind of like I need to rewatch it. But Toy Story 2, it's a solid follow up. Toy Story 2 did have some outrageous references that either led to a gag or changed the whole dynamic of the character's background. Like do you remember the Zurg thing?
Oh yeah.
Like what the fuck?
Yeah.
And then they hit you with the Empire Strikes Back.
Yep.
Like what? That's crazy. It definitely didn't feel like they were going to make a second at this point or a third at this point because it just kind of felt like a last hurrah for them.
You know what's crazy about this movie is that the movie was like not doing so well like a couple months into production or like a couple months left of production or whatever. So they had to kind of like what you were just talking about, they had to scrap it and like restart the movie from scratch, basically like
a triumphant effort
a couple months beforehand.
Yeah. That movie's great. I really like that movie. I got two other like Disney stuff like out here. Mulan. I think Mulan's awesome. I love Mulan. Music in there's great. I think it's just a great, wholesome movie. It's great. And then Eddie Murphy as Mushu is hilarious. And then another one, probably like the most. This is the movie that killed 2D animation at Disney. Treasure Planet. There's a great analysis you can watch on YouTube about Treasure Planet. It's like 30 minutes long. You should watch it. It's basically about how
it's like Treasure Island, but in the future.
Yeah. It's Treasure Island, but sci-fi. Except they still have, instead of like regular ass spaceships, they have like sailboats in space. Yeah. It's really cool. This movie killed 2D animation at Disney. It was a big flop financially. Yeah. And after this movie, I think it was the last 2D like cell animated movie they ever did. Really? Everything after this was all 3D. After the Pixar style.
Yeah, I heard it was a flop.
Yep, big flop. Doesn't deter from the fact that it's a great movie.
That's what I hear.
It's definitely like their best looking movie. They really brought out the big guns for this one. And the studio heads at the animation department at Disney for years were trying to get this movie made. Many other movies, I think like Hercules and like Hunchback of Notre Dame and all that stuff like was set to come out like after this movie. They wanted to do this movie first. Yeah. And it kept getting pushed back and back because the execs at Disney didn't have hope in it. Probably for good reason. The movie didn't do well.
Right.
And I don't know. I think the movie's great, and it's the last hurrah Disney had with 2D work.
I heard that the movie has like a big cult following.
Yeah, you should watch it. You should watch. Like I said, there's like a 30-minute analysis on there. I don't have the channel name. It's been a long time since I've seen it, but he does a great job of going through like the production troubles this movie had and like why it flopped and why even despite that it's still really good.
Oh, nice. Okay. Cool. Who's next?
Let me rattle off two.
All right, go ahead.
Real quick, Aladdin. I think it has the best music in Disney movies.
Mm-hmm.
Second to Tarzan, actually.
All right.
And I really hope they don't fuck it up with the the live action. And How to Train Your Dragon. This franchise pulled a Harry Potter and realized its audience age as they progressed. I haven't seen the new one, but I hear it's darker and the characters have aged with us. This was a great starting point to get you hooked on the world and the relationship between man and man's best friend. It's really good. I like that movie a lot.
Still gotta see it.
Yeah, I still have to see this.
All right, I'm gonna label off 3 here because I got a lot. Mm-hmm. Finding Nemo. I think Andrew Stanton did that. No, Andrew Stanton did Monsters Inc. Whatever. Monsters Inc. I'll put that on here too. But Finding Nemo. I really like that film. Here's another one from Pixar Disney is WALL-E.
WALL-E's so good.
Yeah, WALL-E is really good. I love how it's like almost like a silent film for like the first 10 minutes or whatever. I think that's really great. Also. Here's kind of an oddball one by Wes Anderson. Fantastic Mr. Fox. It's it's stop motion.
Oh yeah. No, it counts.
Definitely counts.
Definitely
Counts.
Yeah. So, Fantastic Mr. Fox is fantastic. No pun intended.
Great. That's a great one. You want to label?
Yeah. So I got some. Getting some of the big hitters out of the way. Stuff like so first big one. This is an anime that like. Basically put anime on the map in the States.
Is this still your honorable mentions?
This is also on my list.
Okay.
My honorable mentions.
Akira.
Yep.
Okay.
Akira came out, and it changed the game for anime in the West. Super popular. It's iconic. Everyone's seen symmetry, like symbolism and like references to Akira. It's in movies like all over the place, live action, animated. It's all there.
One that like Darren Aronofsky does a lot too. He always, and the Wachowskis and
neon colored effects. We'll get to the Wachowskis in a second.
Okay.
Akira came out in like the mid to late 80s. In this movie, it takes place in like a neo like cyberpunk Tokyo. Humanity's evolved to a point where some of them have the ability to tap into psychic powers, and it goes crazy. And there's this biker gang in Neo Tokyo that is kind of mixed in with all this because one of their members has these psychic powers, and it goes all over the place. The big takeaway that everyone has seen is like the motorcycles with the red neon trails behind them. Yep. All the like the jackets and like the art direct, like the character designs are all great. Yeah. This movie's awesome. I think it flubs on some major story beats, and that makes sense. It makes sense because it's adapted from like a much longer like manga series, like Japanese comics that is way longer than like an hour and a half movie. Oh, but the movie's iconic, and anyone that wants to like get into anime should probably watch this movie. It's not the best movie out there, but it definitely changed the game here in the States.
160,000 cells in that movie.
Yeah, no, it's beautiful.
By far the best looking at the time.
Yeah, it's really good.
That's why I put
it still looks great.
On the map.
Yeah.
Dang. Okay.
And then another huge one here in the States, Ghost in the Shell. The original Ghost in the Shell. Obviously Scarlett Johansson's Ghost in the Shell the thing. Yeah. I think it is a poor man's version of this movie because I think that movie's already super fucking good. Ghost in the Shell is a story about transhumanism and what it is, what people will look like 50, 60, 70 years down the future. I am not like if you've played like the Deus Ex games or watched stuff like if you've watched stuff like Ex Machina with like AI and intelligence stuff like that. This movie is like all that. It's AI, it's transhumanism, it's all that stuff. It is basically like the cyber FBI in the future is like tracking down this criminal that's like hacking all these politicians' brains, because in the future you have computers in your brains, and there's this hacker that naturally. There's this hacker that's plugging himself into all these politicians' brains and either like manipulating their like consciousness or killing them or like all this kind of stuff. So they're tracking them down, and it culminates in some really cool stuff. Some of the shots in this movie are iconic. The Matrix can thank its existence for this movie because without it, there would be no Matrix, which I think is like top 5 best like live action movies ever made. The first one. Yeah. Everything after that is like pretty whatever. Then I don't even know if they exist or not. But the Matrix can thank its existence to this movie, and obviously, like I said, it's popular enough to the point where like Hollywood made a version, which is like I should own it, but it's like it's not that bad.
Right.
It definitely misses some of the stuff that's like in the movie, but it's like for the most part like a pretty like shot to shot.
Yeah, for like a Western adaptation.
Yeah, it's not the worst.
Yeah.
There's worse.
There's something called Dragon Ball Evolution, and
oh my god,
that was
I forgot that movie existed.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Oh my god.
At least
that movie's so bad. Most of the cast in that movie, funny enough, in Dragon Ball Evolution, are like in Shameless, that Showtime show.
Oh really?
Yeah, like the main like Goku and Chi-Chi are like the main couple in Shameless.
Oh, there you go.
It's funny how that worked out.
Yeah. All right. What else do I got here? Ratatouille.
Okay, that's good.
101 Dalmatians.
Okay.
The Lego Batman movie. I actually haven't seen the Lego movie. I just seen the Lego Batman movie.
Yeah, I'll say I haven't watched any of the Lego movies. The Lego Batman, like in like the like Lego like Star Wars like video games, way better than they have any right to be.
Oh, there you go.
So if that touches onto the movies at the same time, like I'm in.
I even heard the Marvel Lego game is amazing.
They're all like actually really good.
Yeah.
I was working at GameStop at the time when they first started coming out back in the early 2010s.
Yeah.
And no, like I'd recommend those games to everyone. Like I had them at home. I was playing them with my brothers because they're great co-op games.
Nice.
They're like actually good games.
Nice.
And it's like shocking. It's weird how big the Lego property is.
Oh, it's huge.
It's
huge.
Massive.
Massive.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense to me. It's crazy.
Yeah.
People really like Legos.
I get it. I guess. So I got two. One I'm not even gonna really talk about because I've talked about it on our romance episode, Padma Inverted.
Okay.
I like that movie a lot. I didn't know a thing about it before I saw it, and it actually shocked me. So always keep an open mind when it comes to movies. And then you're gonna disagree with me, but Castle in the Sky, because this is Ghibli's most exciting film. It's a steampunk fantasy where two people venture towards a mystical floating city while being pursued by the girls' kidnappers and greedy pirates. And that pretty much just says it all, like how exciting that movie could be. I like that one.
I think that movie's pretty good. I don't think it's near the best, but
I think it that's fair. That's fair.
I think it's really good though. I mean, basically everything Hayao Miyazaki and Ghibli has touched is like A+.
Okay, out of all, because I haven't seen them all, obviously, because I suck.
We got them all.
I know we got them all. We should watch them.
Did Ghibli do The Secret Life of Arrietty, or was that someone else? You know?
Yes, they did.
Okay.
Yeah, that wasn't a Hayao Miyazaki movie, but they did.
That was Ghibli? Okay.
Yeah.
I was wondering. All right.
Yeah.
And go ahead. You got one more, you said, right?
How many more do you have from them?
I got a lot more.
If you want to rattle off some more, go for it.
I'm just going to say The Iron Giant.
Oh, that's on mine too.
Brad Bird's amazing.
So good.
It's so good, dude. It's so good. Corpse Bride. I think it's the best stop motion movie Tim Burton has ever done. He didn't direct Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yeah.
I feel so bad for Henry Selick, who
I feel like
he gets no credit for that.
Yeah, he gets screwed on that one.
Yeah, yep. I read the behind the scenes about it recently, and basically, Henry Selick basically took a poem that Tim Burton wrote and made that into a film. So like he has like story credit, but he didn't write or direct that film. So it's weird how it's called. He produced it, but Henry Selick deserves way more. And he also did Coraline and like a couple other things, like what was that, James and the Giant Peach.
See, I literally put all those to Tim Burton's head.
Yeah, see?
Like I'm pretty sure most people do.
It probably doesn't help that they kind of have the same style as well, but like he does not get enough credit for that movie. What else do I have? Corpse Bride, yeah, and Paranorman, Laika's stop motion film is absolutely amazing. I love that film. Yep.
I got Inside Out, dude. I don't know why nobody talks about
Inside Out's really good.
It's so good, dude. That movie made me cry like a baby.
It's like I was shocked at how good it was.
It can be peppy and depressing, but its truth is so accurate of like growing up and the big changes in your life that like suppress your emotions, and it's like, oh fuck.
Yeah, the way they turn like your emotions into like characters, and it's super interesting.
And the way they do it is that like why is this girl losing her? Because the emotions in this movie are just incompetent.
Yeah, they just suck at their job.
They're terrible.
Yeah, when you're becoming a teenager, they all just like
they just give up on you.
They just all suck. So that's why teenagers suck. It's great.
That's true. Do you have any left?
Yeah, I got 3 left. Okay. We can get some of the honorable mentions. I would just, if I could, I would just honorable mention basically everything Ghibli's ever made. But the 2 standouts I think that I'm gonna mention that isn't the Ghibli movie in my top 5 is Spirited Away and Grave of Fireflies.
Okay.
Spirited Away. It's a masterpiece. It's great. It looks so good. It is so wholesome. It is fantastic. The world it depicts is so imaginative. There's so many crazy characters. The screen's always moving, and you always find a bunch of new details when you watch that movie. I think it's the only Japanese animation that's ever been acknowledged by the Academy. It got nominated for best animation. Did it win? I can't remember if it won. I don't think it won. It got nominated, which I think is the only. I think it's the only animation anime to ever get that. And I think that was in 2001. So that movie's great.
I think Red Turtle was nominated for best.
It was.
Was it? Cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, Spirited Away, amazing movie. It's definitely the most iconic Ghibli movie out there. For good reason. I think it's great. Grave of Fireflies. It is a Ghibli movie, but it's not by Hayao Miyazaki. It's directed by Isao Takahata. Takahata definitely gets. He's definitely the guy hiding in the shadows when it comes to his work in Ghibli. At least here in the States, he doesn't get nearly the recognition that Miyazaki does. Maybe for good reason, but all his movies are a lot more grounded. They're less fantastical. But I think they're all great. And Grave of Fireflies is definitely, in my opinion, his best work. It is takes place in World War II Japan, right before the bombs drop. And it's two kids, this young man he's probably I want to say 11 or 12. He's not that old. And his baby sister who's 4 or 5. She's not old at all. And they've lost their parents in the war. And they're making their way, trying to survive, homeless, in World War II, right at the end of the war, Japan, and it is fucking sad. Holy shit! Does it make you feel bad?
I haven't seen it yet. I really want to see it.
It is heart wrenching. Murders you.
It sounds like it.
Yeah, oh.
And
it's
I'm
really
assuming
good.
Just because of the premise, you kind of have a feeling of what's going to happen, but it doesn't prepare you, right? Even if you know,
it's only there, and it's great on second and third watches. It tells you right at the fucking beginning what's happening.
Oh damn!
And you don't see it the first time, and when it happens again, you see it again, you're just oh my god.
Damn.
The movie's really good.
That's insane.
It's probably the closest to cracking into my top 5 as anything on the honorable mentions.
Okay.
And I love it to death.
Oh, nice.
It's really sad though. I don't ever want to watch it again. It's one of those kind of movies.
Sometimes those are the best movies.
Yeah, I have a hard time wanting to watch it ever.
All right, Niko, what do you got?
All right, I'm just gonna rattle off some things here. Big Hero 6, love that film.
Good stuff.
Megamind, underrated superhero film. Kung Fu Panda. Hotel Transylvania, super underrated. I love that film. Rise of the Guardians, I love it because there's no musical numbers. I'm not huge on musicals, which is kind of ironic.
It's just the Disney stuff that does it for me, I think.
Yeah. So it's kind of more serious and more of an action film, and I like that. And then I gotta mention Snow White because it started it all, at least over here.
Yeah, Snow White's really good.
Snow White started it all. Yep. All right.
So you have one more, you said?
I got one more.
I have a feeling I know what it is, so I'm going to talk about the other one. I might have messed this up because it might be yours. I don't know. Legends of the Galactic Heroes, the movie.
Conquest is the Sea of Stars. Yeah.
Yes. This first movie fleshed out from the first episode, took every bare bones frame and made it gorgeous. Through this movie, you become acquainted with the characters and their stance on this infinite war. You witness a battle potentially turning the tide and get a feel for the tone. And it kind of aims for this this sophisticated and epic proportion, something around there. It kind of feels like 2001: A Space Odyssey when you're watching it. They play classical music over a battle, and it's really cool. And it's very pretty.
Yeah.
And I wish that the rest of the show looked that good, but we
haven't
finished it yet.
So Legend of the Galactic Heroes, for anyone that doesn't know.
Say it.
Ginga Eiu Densetsu. The Japanese title. So this is a Japanese an anime OVA, basically it's a TV show that never was on TV. They just released it straight to video for years in Japan.
It's his favorite anime of all
time. It's my favorite show. It's very it's super obscure. Only snobs like it. The movie that T-Kettle's referencing is the first 2 episodes of the show are kind of jank, so they went back after the fact and basically turned them into movies with added context and stuff like that. They're really cool. If you want to watch a sci-fi political epic, two rival factions, like basically like spanning the entire galaxy, going to war with each other and like trying to outmaneuver each other. And the basic of the story is like how charismatic leaders can like really change the tide of like a situation. Because the two main characters of the show are both rivals on other sides of the aisle, and their rivalry is breathtaking to see. The movie, the anime itself is very grounded, as grounded as like a sci-fi thing could probably be. There's no like giant mechs. There's no like psychic weird space powers.
It's very strategic.
Yeah, it's great. If you ever want to watch a 110 episode TV show about space battles and politics, it's the best out there. It's a lot like Battlestar Galactica in that kind of way.
Right.
And the other one you were gonna do?
Yeah, the other one. I mean, there's two of them. There's My Kind Quest is the Sea of Stars, and there's Overture to New War.
Your honorable mention.
That's what I was gonna say. Oh. Yeah, you picked.
I picked the wrong one.
You did pick the wrong
Son
one.
Of a bitch.
It's all good though.
The other one was Perfect Blue.
See, we'll talk about that in depth in a minute.
Yeah, I won't talk about it then. It's good.
But yeah, it's great stuff. Really obscure stuff. My top 5 has some obscure stuff in it, so bear with me.
Yeah,
don't worry. All good. Well, I have no anime near any of my anything. I'm just warning you guys.
You're good. No, it's like I said. I like anime a lot. Not everyone's into it. I understand.
It's a good way to tell a story.
There's some good stuff in there. I think there's a lot. There's a lot of weird stuff out there.
Yeah, but there's stuff that it could be accessible to everybody.
Yeah, like I'm pretty sure like most people would love Ghost in the Shell or Akira or any of the Ghibli movies
if they like sci-fi.
I think just in general. Maybe not. Maybe Akira less. Akira gets weird.
It does get weird, especially towards the end.
Ghost in the Shell, I think, is just a movie. I think most people like. If you're cool with like The Matrix, like you'd love Ghost in the Shell.
Okay. So who's gonna start off the top 5?
Doesn't matter. Since we already talked about it, I'll do mine because we talked about it. Into the Spider-Verse is my number 5.
Okay.
Yeah.
Again, it just the way it looks is amazing. It's so visually stunning, and it looks like a comic book come to life, like legitimately. And the story is cool and surprisingly adult. To see people get shot with a gun and then die.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, okay. You know, that's not something you expect from a film by Sony Animation.
For sure.
And the fact that this came from the studio that did the Emoji Movie is saying something.
Yeah, like what the hell?
Yeah, like, what
a level up.
Yeah, I know, right?
They just they took a bunch of steroids and we're just like, we're gonna go flex on these fools.
Yeah, right? Like, all right, everyone's making fun of us. Not today. So
yeah. You're super into comics.
I love comics.
How did you feel? Because I'm not too versed in the Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
Sorry about the pun. There's like tons of references to other Spider-Man material in there, and then like obviously like near the end, you have all the extra Spider-Man popping in.
Yeah.
How was that experience?
Well, the movie kind of simplifies the storyline from the comic books. Yeah. The Into the Spider-Verse storyline from the comic books, which by the way is probably the best storyline because the Spider-Man comic books have been on a huge decline for years. Ever since One More Day / Brand New Day, that Joe Quesada kind of took heat on, really ruined Spider-Man, where they made Spider-Man make like a deal with the devil to like, you know, remove like his relationship with Mary Jane because he wanted to undo the events of Civil War where he revealed his identity to everybody. It was a horrible storyline. It ruined Spider-Man. And I don't think ever since that like storyline, they've never been able to fix it. They've never been able to like make a good Spider-Man storyline. A lot of people might say Superior Spider-Man. I didn't like that story personally, but a lot of people did. Spider-Verse was the first time like, okay, this is like a good storyline finally, you know. But in the comic books, it's hundreds of Spider-Man.
Oh, really?
Like, hundreds.
Yeah, because when they had like Spider-Pork and they had like weird Nick Cage Spider-Man.
Yeah, Spider-Man, Spider-Man Noir. In the comic books, they have Spider-Punk, who's like a punk rocker. Spider-Man UK. You know, it's nuts. You know, it is crazy. So,
they only picked like 3 from there or whatever.
Yeah, they only picked like 4, like 3 or 4.
Yeah, because they had mainline Spider-Man and then Spider-Gwen.
Yeah, Spider-Gwen, mainline Spider-Man, Miles Morales, who's like from the Ultimate Universe.
Yeah.
They had the anime Spider-Woman, who's just like Spider, Penny and Spider.
Yeah, the big spider suit.
yeah, which is great. Who actually was in the comic books was invented by the guy from My Chemical Romance who did Umbrella Academy. I can't remember his name. But he's like the lead singer from My Chemical Romance. He created that character.
That's cool.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, but they simplified it, and I think they did a really good job kind of simplifying the storyline, you know, and making it accessible to everybody. Because I feel like if it was just a straight up adaptation, people would have been lost. Like, what the hell? Like, it would have been too much, you know? But the original Spider-Verse storyline from the comics is a really cool villain. I think an underrated villain. His name's Morlun, and he's known as, like, he's like sort of like a vampire sort of thing. He's got, like, he's one of the strongest supervillains that Spider-Man has ever faced. He actually pretty much killed Spider-Man once. And, yeah, he's basically, like, from a different dimension, and he's going down and kind of hunting all the Spider-Men from the different directions because he wants to remove the spider totem, you know? Mm-hmm. So he's hopping from dimension to dimension, killing all the Spider-Men because he wants to remove the whole spider totem thing.
Oh, yeah, they definitely simplified it.
Yes, they did. And he's also tried to kill, like, the Panther totem, so he's tried to kill Black Panther a couple times. That's his whole thing. He goes from universe to universe to, like...
eliminate superheroes.
Yeah, pretty much.
To cut the tether.
To cut the tether. Oh, us reference. Yeah. So, but I loved it. It's a comic book come to life, and it embraces it and amplifies it to the next level. So
yeah,
it's real good.
Buddy.
It's real good. It's real good. Might be premature to put it on a top 5, but
no, I don't think so. I think just on the merits of its like visual style alone, like it takes a hold of the animation medium better than anything ever has.
Yeah, it's amazing. All right, who's next?
I can go next because we mentioned it just briefly a minute ago. A movie called Perfect Blue. Perfect Blue, the director Satoshi Kon. He is an amazing director. Unfortunately he died early. He died in like his mid 40s back in like 2010. I want to say
2010.
And he was only looking to go up and up from here. So Perfect Blue is a movie about so it's. Thematically, it's about the real person versus like the avatar that you see of a person online.
Okay.
The movie it's about a pop idol singer named Mima, who is transitioning from her pop idol status to becoming a TV actress. There's a lot of movies that have taken reference, like live action movies. Like Black Swan is basically like a live action adaptation of this.
Okay.
There's some scenes like in Requiem for a Dream that are straight up like stolen from this movie.
Darren again.
Yeah, like the scene.
Loves this movie.
Yeah, the scene of the bathtub scene where they're like crouched down over their back and there's the vertical shot over straight out of this movie. Mm-hmm. This movie is a trip.
Yeah.
It is super trippy.
It challenges like perspective and illusionary like bullshit, like more so than almost any other film out there. There's a couple. Satoshi Kon did this a lot. He had a couple other movies like Paprika that did this. Like the entire movie is just a mad like acid trip. But basically, Mima is transitioning from pop idoldom to becoming an actress. And some background on it in Japan, there's definitely this like culture around like pop idols that definitely is definitely creepy. And is definitely not okay.
Them, right?
Basically, yeah. They become obsessive, and when she transitions into this more serious acting role, a number of her fans take this poorly. And go on to basically try to ruin her life. And in ruining her and trying to ruin her life, she starts like losing it.
Yeah.
There's a stalker that's involved that is definitely like trying to like destroy the things around her to like bring her back to like what his like fantasized version of her is.
Yeah.
And it's always challenging who the real Mima is and who she is, and she's always coming to blows with trying to be this thing for the people to like love and adore. And she eventually starts basically starts hallucinating this like alter ego of herself that is fucking with her, like destroying her life, or what she perceives to. But the entire time, is she actually the one doing this? Is there someone else that's like fucking with her? There's many scenes at the back half of the movie that just bleed one into the other. Like she'll be in a room, she'll be looking at the wall, and she'll turn around, and she's turning around, the animation shifts, and she's in a different room, a different spot. They repeat the same scenes over and over again.
It's like that blackout editing, like where a character like got from one place to the next, and they don't know how they got there.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, it's all over the place. The movie's crazy, and it's terrifying. And it talks about a lot of things that I think have only become more relevant as time has gone on. This movie was made in 1997. In the movie, they make jokes about how like the internet is still a strange thing. Like Mima like buys a computer for the first time and she doesn't know how to work the internet.
Right.
And as the internet's gotten more and more like integrated in our lives today, the idea of like what you put online versus like what you are in real life has only become, the gulf between those two things has only grown. And this movie tackles subjects about that stuff. It's become
more relevant.
It's become more relevant over time. There's the infamous like Bjork stalker stories.
Yeah.
This movie came out before that, which is strange because so many people like relate those two things as like being an influence on the movie. Stuff like the mail bombs and all that stuff. Like all that stuff's in here, and it's weird how prescient Satoshi Kon was about the situation of the world, of how it was going to move forward. And I think the movie is brilliant. It's well animated. It's not the best looking thing ever. It's definitely a more normalized style. Everyone looks like actual like Japanese people as opposed to most anime that doesn't.
Yeah.
And the visual like texture of the movie, the color like palette of the movie between like when Mima is just her in her apartment like being herself is very like placid and plain and very mellow. It's definitely not like it's very muted. Versus like when she is like when there's a camera in the shot, like on set, and when she's like on camera, the colors saturate like crazy. She becomes more beautiful. Everyone around her becomes more grungy, and like their eyes become like dark voids, and it's definitely like this weird trip. What you have to like watching it multiple times like fills in different gaps and different things all the time. It's such a treat. It's so good.
It's disgusting. It's
also foul. Yeah, it's foul. Once again, same thing. Going back to the category warning for Fate Stay Night earlier in the podcast. If you're not cool with sexual violence, do not watch this movie. Absolutely do not. It's there and it's fucked up. Don't watch it.
But it has a purpose.
But yeah, it's there to serve. It's not there just for the sake of just being like gross. If you can stomach that stuff, I think this movie is a must-watch. It's definitely influenced a lot of like Western filmmaking.
For sure.
Okay.
So take a look. I had to buy it again on Blu-ray because I still had the DVD copy. It just came out on Blu-ray.
Oh, nice.
And the DVD, we're watching it on Kettle's 4K, and ooh, does it look bad on that?
It does not.
Really?
Yeah, like it's in a terrible aspect ratio.
Oh,
it was like late '90s, so it's like widescreen, like CRTs.
Yeah.
Hideous.
Yeah, it does not look good.
All right.
It matches the tone of the film.
But on Blu-ray, I'm sure it'll look fantastic.
All right.
My number 5 is a movie called Mary and Max. I've cried so much because of this film. It's a stop-motion feature about a chubby little girl with no friends forming a bond with a pen pal, an obese Jewish man with Asperger's struggling to cope in New York City. This man sort of prepares her for the real world, and with his troubles, she kind of realizes that it could always be worse. It's a part realism tale, part black comedy, and you spend an emotional journey through her transformative period and his stationary period. And this is probably the saddest movie I've ever seen.
Damn, you guys have like some really like real and heavy animation like stuff going on here. And I'm like, yeah, you know, just Rise of the Guardians, Kung Fu Panda, you know.
It's good. That's all good. That's good stuff too. But like this is the big boy lead. This is the top 5 baby.
Yeah, there's some. It's interesting you bring it up because I think for most people their experience is probably gonna be similar to yours, Niko.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of like Western animation that does this kind of stuff, and that's not like the best thing that's come out in years out of the West. Into the Spider-Verse,
right.
Like tackles serious subjects, and it's something I think that like only gets perpetrated more and more by the movie culture, like Hollywood culture itself, is like where they relegate like animated movies and stuff like that into basically like kids' realm.
Yeah, they do.
But you can tell some like really grounded and serious like adult stories with animation, and it's I take it less as a genre and more of just like an artistic choice.
Okay, that's a good way to put it.
It's definitely like, does your move like you can, because nowadays you can do almost anything in animation. Like animation served a purpose before, like early on, like especially in the like before the turn of the century, as being a medium where if you wanted a consistent, fantastical like portrayal of something, the best way to do that was to animate it
because you couldn't do it in live action.
Because you couldn't do it in live action.
Special effects.
As time has gone on, live action's been able to fill up that role more and more. I mean, just look at just look at stuff like the Marvel movies. Like the special effects in those things are like, what the hell am I even watching? Or like you're watching like
Star Wars even. Or
like Star Wars. Like it's doing stuff that like you can barely tell it's like CG almost at this point.
Yeah.
But if you want like the perfect cohesive style with like fantastical elements, and I think animation is still the way to go. I think Into the Spider-Verse proves that.
Yeah.
You could never tell a story like that with like Tobey Maguire. Sorry. Like it's not happening. No, like I love you, Tobey. Spider-Man 2 was really good, but like, you know, it doesn't work.
I could make it work.
the same way.
I think it could work. Imagine having having Tobey Maguire,
Andrew
Garfield,
no!
and Tom Holland.
You're right.
Let's
get the live action Spider-Verse. Let's go.
Yes.
Let's go. We're going for it.
Oh boy,
That'd be amazing.
We'll stack the two and see how they go.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
oh my god.
There's only one of those I want to see though.
Yeah. But yeah, so like animation's weird. It definitely like gets relegated to I think like a cheap spot here in the West. But that's not like, it serves its purpose. Like animation, like we listed a whole bunch of like Pixar and Disney stuff. I think it's all great.
Yeah. For sure.
I know we're not done there.
Yeah, and we're not even done, so.
Right. All right, so are we my number 4 now?
Yes.
All right, so I'm going a whole 180 from you guys. Beauty and the Beast.
I love Beauty and the Beast.
Beauty and the Beast is amazing.
Great movie.
It was actually the first animated film to be nominated for Best Picture. Not just...
Yeah, just straight up Best Picture,
just straight up Best Picture. It's absolutely amazing. It's like Stockholm Syndrome, the movie, which a lot of people don't like, but whatever. Okay? It's great.
It's kind of...
Don't knock until you try.
It's definitely an unhealthy relationship.
Yeah, but I love it. I love the whole I love it. Great. I love it when people go from like arcs, with their character, and I think this animated film has a lot of good arcs as opposed to like other Disney films that don't have a lot of arc with their characters.
Yeah, the characters change a lot in this movie.
Yeah, they change a lot in this movie. Like both main characters really change a lot, and it's kind of ends in a very romantic kind of way, but it's still a great exploration of like love and like true love and romance and stuff, and I love it.
Eliminating the shallowness of it.
Yeah, exactly. And I can relate to the Beast. Like, what can I say?
I can totally relate to the Beast, bro.
Yeah, dude.
The movie also has, arguably, I think it's true. I think that it has like the best worst villain in Disney. Like, He's like Gaston's the best villain. But I fucking hate him.
Yeah, no,
he's so fucking bad. He's such a terrible human being.
Such a dick. Like
he's such a terrible person.
Yeah.
Like it's like him, the Catholic priest from like Notre Dame, and like Scar. Fuck all them.
Yeah. No, yeah, I love that.
Most villains suck.
Well, I know, like they suck, but like he's such a
cocky,
he's such a bad person. Like if you think Gaston's cool, fuck you.
Yeah, like you're a dick.
He's such a bad person.
You can't even, I would understand if you think Jafar is cool,
yeah,
but you can't
Jafar is cool.
Yeah, he is cool. He's a spellcaster.
Yeah, Jafar's like this weird wizard dude.
Yeah, but like Gaston's just a dick.
Gaston's awful.
A douchebag.
Yeah, he's a douchebag.
Yeah, he's just like the most chauvinistic piece of shit you could ever find.
Yeah, he's like Zach Baggins in animation.
It's a great movie though.
Yeah, it's a great movie. I love it.
Yeah.
So I even like the live action version. I think that's really good too.
I haven't watched it.
It's pretty good.
Yeah. Who was that one? Is the one with Emma Watson, right?
Emma Watson and Dan Stevens. Yeah.
I should watch it just to watch Emma Watson.
Boy.
I like Emma Watson a lot.
Emma Watson's cool. Yeah, she's prime. All right.
Yeah. I can go with so I can go with the fourth one. This is definitely the most obscure film on the list.
Here we go.
This is
Akira. No, I'm joking.
Yeah, Akira, the most obscure film on this list. No, this is Garden of Sinners 5. Paradox Spiral. It's the 5th movie. Kara no Kyokai would be the Japanese translation. I'll go with Garden of Sinners because it's probably no one here is gonna. It's easier to find that way if you're interested in this. So Garden of Sinners is the 5th Garden of Sinners movie. There's 8 of them. The 8th one is like a weird in between that doesn't need to count. So there's 7 mainline movies. It's a set of 7 movies adapted from a novel like translation. In Japan, and it's basically like ghost story detective agency.
Okay.
It's a small detective agency that has a few like main cast characters that are like going through and trying to solve this one overarching like mystery. Mm-hmm. And in the 5th one, the one I'm talking about specifically, it is definitely the trippiest, most like mind bending fuck all like experience I've seen in almost anything in like a long ass time. The director is Takayuki Hirao. He's an in-house director for Studio Ufotable, who is the guys that did like the Fate Stay Night movie. They make really good-looking movies.
Okay.
These movies came out in the late 2000s. This movie needs context for all the stuff that came before.
Oh boy.
So it's like I said, I could never recommend this movie to anybody. It's a special place to me. It was my favorite movie for a long time. Over time, I've kind of I think outgrown it. Uh-huh. It's definitely like telling a story to like a more younger adult. Mm-hmm. That's not to say that it isn't still great. The whole series of 7 movies came out of chronology.
Okay.
And then this movie takes it into one step further. And then this movie in particular is told, like, all the events in it are told out of order. It's like very much like Memento-esque, where like everything is like colliding into a central point, and that works because the title is Paradox Spiral. Everything bleeds into the middle. It's about this this woman named Shiki Ryogi. She is a she basically works for this paranormal agency. They're like searching into ghosts. It takes place in like 90s Tokyo. And she has these special like magical eyes that let her see the threads of people's lives in them, and you can basically like trace along those lines and someone would die. So she's got like weird special supernatural powers. And there's this series of murders that are taking place in this tower building. And they all take place on a loop. Every day, everyone wakes up in this building, and by the end of the day, everyone's dead except this one guy who has realized the loop. Mm-hmm. So half the story is this guy realizing this loop and like trying to break out of it, and the other half is Shiki investigating this place, and is them both discovering things, and as they discover things, the other character figures something out, and then they don't actually interact until like near like the mid part of the movie, and then it all turns into this weird like mess of stuff. There's foreshadowing all over the place. The movie just tells you how it ends, like from like I think basically the second scene in the movie, but you don't have the context to know that that's the ending until you watch the whole thing. Mm-hmm. There's two viewing orders like you can like find online. There's a viewing order that does the story completely chronologically. Okay. So you can you have to watch the 31st minute to like the 50th minute, and then cut back to like the 12th minute to like the 15th minute. You can watch the movie that way. And it kind of makes sense.
Awful.
Don't watch it that way.
That sounds terrible.
But the movie's told in such a weird mishmash of ways that you could watch it that way.
Okay.
The movie's beautiful. It has a really great score. Like I said, it requires a lot of investment. You have to watch like 4 movies before this one.
Yeah.
So I don't expect anyone to like give it the time of day, but it meant a lot to me when I was watching it. The climax and the satisfaction of like figuring out what happens in that movie is really gratifying. I like when movies like challenge you, and this movie challenges the fuck out of you. Yes. It's great. The pacing is all over the place.
I need to watch that.
But it's really good.
We watched one of them.
We watched the first one. We watched the.
I need to continue.
Yeah, it's really good. That's definitely the weirdest thing on here. Everything after this, smooth
sailing.
Yeah, smooth sailing from here.
All right, go ahead, T-Kettle. What's your number 4?
We got number 4 is Princess Mononoke. It's like a D&D campaign, in all honesty, because exposition comes from exploration, quests comes to Ashitaka as he meets new NPCs or discovers new lands with hardships. Come for the beautiful visuals, stay for the characters and themes of hate-breeding hate among men and beasts or deforestation. There's a severe lack of medieval fantasy settings in films, so the best place to get it is within the realm of animation, in my opinion. And this is just a really great example of that.
Okay.
Actually, I think it holds a candle to almost any like fantasy-based thing. Maybe not like Lord of the Rings. But...
Is this Studio Ghibli? This is Studio Ghibli,
yeah.
Right?
This is my number 2.
Ooh,
you're giving away.
They just spoiled it.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, do we want to talk about it all right now, or do we?
No, we usually wait. We actually usually don't like say it if one of them comes up.
Yeah, all right.
Usually we can tell if something's on each other's list because one of them just stays really quiet as the other one goes off about it.
I'll go on my rant at my number 2 then.
You're good.
All right, sounds good.
I know you're going to talk about it in more detail, so it's fine.
I love this movie.
I know.
My number 3 is actually a tie between 3 movies.
Okay.
Damn.
I know what they are.
What are they?
Toy Story
trilogy.
Yeah.
It's honestly like the perfect trilogy in my opinion. It starts and ends so well, and this is the movie that really put 3D animation on the map. For films, it was the first one to really. It was the first Pixar movie, technically. So.
Technically, if you don't count Bug's Life.
Yeah.
Which I guess technically wasn't Pixar at the time.
Yeah, it was like...
It was most of the Pixar staff, but it wasn't literally Pixar.
Yeah. So, Toy Story, a lot was riding on it for Pixar to become its own company, and it freaking paid off. I mean, if you look at it now, some of it might seem a little rudimentary. That's one thing about 2D animation is that it doesn't age. 3D animation can kind of age. If you look at some of the old ones, you're like, oh boy,
I know there's some janky stuff from the 50s and 60s.
Oh yeah.
And 2D that you're like, oof. Okay. Compared to today,
right,
oof.
For sure. No, I got you.
So it happens, but
Don Bluth is amazing, but
yeah, Toy Story's great.
Yeah, Toy Story is fantastic.
I cried at the end of the third movie in theaters.
Oh yeah,
totally.
Yeah,
like a fucking baby.
Yeah, dude, I'm telling you, it's great. You roll with these characters.
I love the movies,
and it's surprisingly mature. And it's surprising, like, I love the fact that there's no musical numbers.
He grows up with the audience, too, in, like, the most, like, literal way ever. Like, the time gap between 2 and 3 is, like, what was it, like, 10, 12 years, something like that? Like, I was a kid watching Toy Story 2.
Yeah.
I was like a high schooler at the end when Toy Story 3 came out.
Yeah. And that's kind of what Andy was. You grew up with Andy.
Yeah, he's going to college, yeah.
And it shows, like, what toys can like mean to somebody, or not just toys. I think the toys represent something more than just toys. It represents childhood and innocence, and like just a different time period in your life where things were just easier. And it's not afraid to explore those themes. The Toy Story trilogy is not afraid to explore those type of hard themes, and it looks like the fourth one's going to even explore those themes as well.
Yeah.
Of like existence and shit.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
God.
We watched the teasers together, but he's never seen. They put out like actual trailers.
Yeah, like finally.
And I think the trailer puts out like gives out too much, but man, I'm really digging the vibe.
Yeah,
from it.
It's like whoa, okay, like they're going there.
Yeah.
So I don't know where they're gonna take it. To be honest with you, what if it just ends with all of them just in a trash heap?
There's true existential dread of the
universe.
I
know,
complete.
right? No, that's fucked up.
The cold heat death is a come.
I would not accept that.
Yeah,
not in Toy Story.
That was almost the end of 3, like when they're like in the trash compactor.
Yeah.
Like in the
I
dump.
did not feel a thing for that scene. I did not feel a damn thing.
I felt bad.
I was like,
that wasn't the part that made me cry. The part that made me cry is when he's like packing everything up and he's like driving down the sunset.
When he gives all his toys away and then she reaches for like Woody and he's just like
I was like
back.
I was like fuck.
But then he has to realize that he has to give him up to her. Oh man, that's sad.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You ever see the prank? It was on YouTube where some guy edited the movie, like the DVD of Toy Story 3, to where it ends at that trash compactor scene. And he showed it to his family, who's never seen the movie.
Oh, and they probably flipped out.
Yeah, they flipped out. Because it's funny because they're going, like, into the trash, and then it just cuts to black, and it's like, the end credits scene. And then you hear his mom saying, what? Is that how it ends? And then he waits for, like, 2 days before telling her.
Oh, what a bastard.
And lets it linger that, like,
I couldn't have let it linger. I would have been caved.
And then he fell, and then he finally told her, and it was hilarious.
That's fucking...
Yeah. I can see why that is so funny.
That's funny.
Oh, that's crazy. So yeah, Toy Story trilogy, fantastic.
Yeah.
Yep. Alright, my number 3. End of Evangelion, the Neon Genesis Evangelion movie. Directed, screenplay, and key animation all done by Hideaki Anno. Hideaki Anno is one of the most influential animators alive. Him, along with Hayao Miyazaki, they're good buddies. Hideaki Anno actually did the lead voice role in... I'm blanking on the goddamn name.
The memory.
The Ghibli airplane movie. Wind Rising.
Rasa.
No, the Wind Rising.
My bad.
Both airplanes. Hayao Miyazaki really likes airplanes.
he likes airplanes.
He likes airplanes a lot. Wind Rising. I can't believe I blanked on that. That's embarrassing. Anyways, Hideaki Anno, End of Evangelion. There was a time in Japanese animation in 1995 where there was before Evangelion, and then there was after Evangelion. Evangelion has such a gigantic influence on anime, and I think animation in general, that it is hard to understate how important the TV series and this movie are. The movie less important, but the movie it's a movie list. And this movie is the capstone to the show. So for those that don't know, the show is infamous for its like last couple episodes, basically just like tanking in visual quality. Production issues became rampant, and instead of like trying to scrap together something that like looked passable, Hideaki Anno decided to go for a very like what would be the right word? Existential and like abstract ending. The ending is like basically pencil sketches like swirling around on the screen, and it's definitely like a mind like bending experience. And for some people, that ending is great, and for some others, they don't like it. Because it's very much like an anti-climax up to the TV series. So like a couple years later, he made this, the end of Evangelion. It's like what literally happens during the end of the movie, like the end of the series, versus like the actual ending of the series being like a whole mental mishmash in the main character's head.
Oh, okay.
So the movie is it's huge. First of all, until Your Name came out, it was the highest grossing animation in Japanese box office history. I think it was like in the top 5, like just highest grossing films, like just in general in Japan. It fucks with your head. It's another movie that fucks with your head. It deals with a lot of themes of on like what is it to be human? Like, do we deserve to exist as like a human race? Like, we're pretty fucked up. It's a post-apocalyptic setting where humanity is on the edge of ruin as these 16 angelic figures basically appear from outer space and proceed to destroy humanity, or attempt to. And the only way to fight back against this is obviously to use teenagers and giant robots to combat this. For story reasons, they explain it. There's story reasons as to why that all happens. But this is basically it's a movie about depression. Hideaki Anno is famously going through severe depression at this point. He's talked about it in interviews. He was on the verge of killing himself multiple times during the productions of the shows, and you can see it. The characters are all fucked up messes. They're all on the edge of breaking. Most of them have already broken multiple points during the series. You're taking the fate of the world and you're putting it in 14-year-olds' hands, and they don't handle the pressure well, for obvious reasons.
Damn.
And
that's why everyone hates it.
And the movie basically depicts the end of the world.
Wow.
And man, it's heart-wrenching. It's fucked. The characters go through some... Don't listen to me. There's like dozens and dozens of analyses on YouTube that you can watch that do a way better job explaining it than me. The movie's really important to animation, just I think in all fields, like East or West. And it tells... the story it has a perspective about it that you don't get often. There's something special... As fucked up as it is to say, there's something special about like the depressed like artist. It definitely puts on screen some stuff that I probably can't appreciate. I've never had clinical depression. At least I don't think so. I've never like taken medicine for it or anything. So I think there's even stuff I'm missing. There's definitely people out there with better perspectives than me that love this movie. And I think it's worth checking out. Even if you haven't watched the TV show, it will make no sense. But there's scenes in there that are iconic. You should just watch the TV show if you're interested in anime at all. It's definitely like a groundbreaking series. And there is like I said, there is a time before and after this movie and this TV series. And the way anime has gone since then, you can attribute almost all of that in some part to Evangelion.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Also, just to warn you guys, we are at 20%, which this means that like this laptop lasts a while, whatever. But just to...
I'm going to speed run real quick. You ready?
Well, like, just saying, like, you might want to condense your number 2 just because I know with your number 1, we're going to want to, like, really dive in on that,
okay.
So.
Number 3, Your Name. 2 people have been swapping bodies that live quite a distance from each other. Instead of trying to figure out this phenomenon, they roll with it because they want to be in somebody else's shoes as they are in the midst of their awkward teen years. Arguably one of the greatest looking animation features ever, Makoto Shinkai was actually disappointed with the final outcome, saying 2 years wasn't enough. I don't know what he wanted to do additionally, but it's a great balance of tone, starting with awkward adolescent humor to epic catastrophe film. And every moment was used for the sake of character development. You'll laugh, you'll smile, and if you don't cry, well, you're just not human.
With Your Name, because I'm not like huge on anime, just because I don't know.
You should watch it.
But like when I heard the premise of Your Name, I was like, I got to see this.
You should watch it.
It blew up. It like became, so I mentioned earlier, Your Name became like the biggest movie ever in Japan.
Yeah.
And became big here too. It like blew the fuck up. The movie's really good.
Yeah, I hear it's amazing. So, and I love the premise. So the whole body swap premise between
it's got some of the best background art in anything.
Absolutely.
Damn. All right.
I think only his other works like beat it. Like he's got 2 other movies beforehand that are like equally good looking.
Garden
Wars specifically. But those movies are only like 40 minutes long.
Oh, okay.
And this one's like an hour. Yeah, this movie's like an hour and like 40.
It ends well, unlike that movie.
Yeah, and this movie's actually good. Those other movies are bad.
Oh, okay.
They're not that good. They just look incredible.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
That's my number 3.
Is it my number 2 time?
Yes.
All right. Here's a surprising factor for me. For my friends listening to this right now, they're going to be surprised this isn't my number 1. Little Mermaid is my number 2.
Okay. Damn.
Yeah.
Repping out the Little Mermaid.
Repping out the Little Mermaid. I love it. Okay, she's the best Disney princess. It's kind of like a take on the hero's journey. It's just different because it's with Ariel instead of like Homer. You know, this film is like the Odyssey, but with a Disney princess, and that's what I really like about it. You know, and it's like she's kind of a flawed character, but that's kind of like, which was kind of like something you didn't see a lot back in those days, I guess you could say, with like Disney films. That's arguable, but I feel like her character flaws aren't as overt as the other ones are. You know, they're more like personality traits that some people don't like, and I'm like, yeah, but that's like what being human is about. You know, like that's what kind of like that's what she shows. It's like you being human sucks sometimes, and people make shitty decisions without even realizing it sometimes, and sometimes without even learning from it. And that's kind of what this movie shows. But even with that, though, she still like does a lot to like sacrifice for, you know, the person she loves and stuff like that. It ends a little bit kind of cliche, I guess you could say. I feel like if this movie wanted to go a little more crazy, it could have ended in a very risky way of like having them not end up being together. But, you know, this is Disney we're talking about, so they have to end up together, even if the rest of the film doesn't necessarily lead up to that, which this does, but, you know, I feel like this movie kind of has a different kind of tone to it than the other ones. Uh-huh. Yeah, so.
I need to rewatch it.
It's really good. I used to not like it when I was, like, 7, because I was a boy.
Yeah.
And a 7-year-old boy that thought it was lame, but I think it's really good now.
Yeah, yeah. It's great. Which is so weird, because I'm talking about how I hate musical numbers. My number 2 and my number 1. You're going to be like, okay.
It's really good.
Yeah, dude. Ariel's great. And she's prime.
Dude, redheads, dude.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so my number 2?
Yes.
Yeah, so...
we already know.
Yeah, Princess Mononoke. I spoiled it earlier. For good reason. This movie is fucking incredible. It's the best thing Hayao Miyazaki's ever made, in my opinion. It is a culmination of like all of the themes he likes to portray in his fantasy movies. The relationship between humanity and civilization and nature is on point, on the nose here. You can't miss it. Humanity is literally killing the forest, and the forest manifests into like real things to like fight back. It's great.
Oh wow.
The movie is gorgeous. It's breathtaking. Ashitaka is
he's amazing.
He's a boy. You want to root for him the entire time. He's great.
It's also really gory.
The movie is violent. There are some parts in that movie that are like, what the fuck? Jeez.
Chopping people's heads off and like blood spurts out.
Yeah, it gets violent. Yeah, it's hardcore.
Wow, it's surprising because Hayao Miyazaki doesn't strike me as the kind of.
Usually, it's definitely his most violent film.
Yeah,
it's necessary.
Yeah,
it definitely strikes a contrast to the events that are going around it. The movie's awesome. I don't have much to say about it. Other than that, it's just awesome. It explores its themes like expertly. It's one of the best looking movies ever made, at least as far as animation goes. And it is just a joy to watch. The score is amazing. Everything about it is amazing. Watch it.
Okay. What's your number 2?
My number 2. So 1. If I watch this movie again, it could definitely be number 1, and if I watch the other number 1, it could totally be number 2. So it could really go either way. It could be interchangeable. But this is gonna surprise you because I did a review of it on YouTube, and like it was kind of like maybe lukewarm at the time, but it's definitely not anymore. It's Wolf Children.
I love this movie.
Mamoru Hosoda always finds fantasy stories to turn into the beauty of family. In Wolf Children, a human mother has a night of passion with a wolf man, and she has 2 children she must raise alone. A celebration of mothers surpassing any other film. Not once does the word "I love you" leave a character's mouth, but their actions say it tenfold. It also touches on being a teenager and finding your own path. And no matter what you choose, just know your mother will always support and love you.
Damn.
I knew you would love this movie. When I showed it to you, I knew you would love it.
I was in Florida at the time, so I could not like watch it with you. But man, did I! It really crept up on me, and it's one of the best movies that came out in the last decade.
Yeah, it's like definitely the like penultimate like single mom kicking the fucking world, like the world's ass, like over and over again. She's the best.
And I really want it to be my number 1, and it should be, but I can't change it just because I haven't watched it in a while. Or the number 1.
Yeah. Wolf Children also has great animation. You were mentioning Mamoru Hosoda. He's great. Like I said, he's coming up big. He's only getting bigger.
Nice. Is it my number one time?
Yes.
I think you might know what it is. What's the one like animated movie, even though it's not the animated version that I have on my wall?
I don't know.
It's The Jungle Book.
Oh.
It's The Jungle Book, man.
Oh, okay.
The Jungle Book.
I love The Jungle Book. It's kind of like a left field thing, but I just love this.
The bare necessities, man.
The bare necessities, dude. Phil Harris, who voices Baloo, freaking Louis Prima as the monkey. What's his name again? I can't remember. King Louis, of course. Yeah, It's just a fantastic story about this boy trying to find out who he is, and it has that like theme of like being different and stuff like that.
Fish out of water.
Yeah, fish out of water storyline, and having that kind of affect you as a person trying to find like your purpose in life, which I'm still trying to fucking do. So I really relate to this film. This film came out in like 1967, I think. Let me just double check it. Yeah, 1967, and it still holds up with its themes and its visuals and its amazing animation. Even some of it is repurposed, but it's still freaking amazing. You know, I absolutely love The Jungle Book, man. It's fantastic. And I'm not huge on musicals. The fucking musicals in this are great.
Yeah.
Bare necessities.
Yeah.
Dude.
I haven't watched that movie in so long.
Oh, it's so good, dude. The
Gotta
sequel
watch it again.
sucks. Don't watch the sequel.
Is there a sequel?
There is a
I
sequel.
didn't even know that. I'll be honest.
Yeah.
Is it one of those like straight to DVD?
No,
like,
it was in
Aladdin 2
theaters.
fucking sequels?
Jungle Book 2?
No, Jungle Book 2 was in theaters.
Really?
I saw it in theaters. And I liked it when I was a kid, but I'm like, nah, don't do it. Yeah, that came out in like 2003. And the live action is also really good.
It is
Live action is good.
Yeah, live
It looks
action
awesome.
is really good.
It looks awesome.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, dude. I love it. I love this film. I can't really add much on it, to be honest with you. Probably because I want to give you guys more reign here because I'm tired.
Go ahead, Jacob.
Yes.
What's up? You want me to
Go
go?
ahead.
Yeah.
Number
so,
one.
My number one. This is definitely like This is the one that I just feel has to be number one. I can't like give an analysis on why it's number one. But Samurai X, Trust and Betrayal. It's the Rurouni Kenshin prequel movie. If any of you watched Rurouni Kenshin like on Toonami back in the day,
I do. I know that. Yeah.
it's an anime about a wandering swordsman that is vowed to kill no one ever again.
Does he have white hair and pointy ears?
He has no. That's
That's
Inuyasha.
Inuyasha.
Oh, okay.
He's got like big red hair and he's got a cross-shaped scar on his cheek.
Oh, okay.
He is. This takes place after the end, like the fall of the Tokugawa shogunate during the Meiji Restoration, like the TV show. And he basically played a massive role in shaking up the governmental status in mid 1800, like 19th century Japan. Fictional character. He wasn't a real person, but he was infamous in the TV show as someone called Batosai the Manslayer. He was just like the biggest badass there ever was. This movie takes place. It was made in I think 1999 by Studio Dean. The director was Kazuhiro Furuhashi. He's worked on stuff like the Hunter x Hunter TV series and like Gundam Unicorn. One of the best Gundam TV like one of the best Gundam things. Yeah.
Characters.
Okay.
This movie takes place during the upheaval of the Tokugawa shogunate. And it portrays him when he was the badass. Batosai the Manslayer, like the murderer, like a fucking murderer. He killed a bunch of people. It just has a really special place in my heart. It shows you a reversal of, like, it gives you context for the kind of person that his character is in the TV series in a way that, like, the TV series never, like, touches on. Like, there's brief moments where they kind of show you small tidbits of, like, his life beforehand. But this movie just does it so expertly. The animation is insane. It's incredible. The studio that did it, Studio Dean, has an infamous reputation for turning, like, for adapting material very poorly. And it's like the one thing in that era of Studio Dean that like turned out excellently.
Oh wow!
It goes to show you the arc of Kenshin, of where he starts as like a youth that was sold into slavery. His caretakers, like his owners at the time, were murdered by bandits on the road, and he was saved by a wandering swordsman that took him in eventually and trained him to become a mega badass, to become one of the greatest swordsmen in Japan. He becomes frustrated with the political situation of Japan at the time. The Tokugawa shogunate at this point in time in like real history was a very tyrannical like order and very isolationist. They did not want outside powers moving into their country, like Portugal and the United States. So a faction of the shogunate rose up against them, overthrew them, and Kenshin is a big part of that.
Oh wow!
And he his growth from becoming like a boy, like a slave boy, to becoming a student, to becoming he leaves to like join this war effort even though his master like forbids him. And his transformation from like a youth trying to like make the world a better place to become this jaded like assassin, this person that is just like he is a hired man that will kill at a word's notice. To him being forced to make the toughest choice of his entire life and making a mistake that he regrets so greatly to this day that he forbids himself from killing ever again, which sets up the foundation of like a 100 episode like TV series and like a huge manga series. It's very popular in Japan.
Yeah.
It looks great. It has my favorite soundtrack in any movie, like bar none. Yeah. I love the soundtrack, and it's amazing. I love it deeply. There's no like philosophical reason why I think it's important, like stuff like Evangelion or Perfect Blue.
It's a personal choice for you.
But yeah, it's spoken to me for years. I watched it like, I don't know, I was like 15 or 16.
Yeah.
It has stuck with me.
All right.
I bought it for an outrageous amount of money on Blu-ray in Japan because you can't buy it on Blu-ray here in the States. Also, by the way, I haven't mentioned this for almost any of the stuff I've been talking about so far, but most of the stuff the anime I've listed, I watch in Japanese. Don't watch this in English. It's really bad in English.
Really?
The Evangelion movie is pretty good in English. Perfect Blue is bad in English. Mononoke, you can actually watch in English. It's great in English.
Yeah, you can do that.
It's great in English.
Got some.
That seems to be like all Ghibli films are kind of pretty.
Yeah, they're all Disney dubbed.
It's got like Claire Danes, Billy Bob Thornton.
Oh, wow, nice.
Karno Kyokai has no dub. You can only watch it in Japanese.
Yeah.
All right.
I love that movie. Go watch Samurai X. You don't have to have any context for the TV series for it to be good. I've showed it to many people. Everyone loves it.
All right.
This is very anticlimactic right here.
What's the anticlimax?
It's Toy Story.
Oh, nice.
Because it was my favorite movie as a kid. I watched it infinitely. Like
it's a lot of people's first movie they ever saw.
So much.
Like from our age.
Yep.
You know.
Yeah. To this day, I still really like the genius behind the gorgeous visuals and plethora of delightful characters. It's a movie about coexisting. 3D animation can coexist with 2D. Just because this was the shiny new toy back in the day doesn't mean one was better than the other. Because honestly, I do prefer 2D usually. Specific genres can also coexist. Sci-fi, maybe the new Western, building universes for the sake of characters, but they can both be a part of Andy and us. I don't mean to ruin Toy Story for people, but there's more to it than meets the eye. It's Pixar's golden goose, and in my opinion, they never toppled it. They came right out of the gate displaying what kids' movies should look like. Family movies.
Nice.
I still love that movie, but I need to rewatch it desperately.
Yeah. No. Wow, okay. I wasn't expecting that from you, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I really wasn't. Were you expecting that?
No.
I was not expecting
I was like waiting for the hidden card to be revealed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because you mentioned Toy Story 2 earlier on, didn't you?
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah, so that was the bait and switch. We were here to talk about Toy Story 1.
So Toy Story 3 is your least favorite out of the three, huh?
It is.
Oh, wow. Okay. Dang, all right.
Sorry.
It's all good.
Sorry, not sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, not sorry.
Oh, man.